What happens to your heart at menopause?
And welcome back again to 6 Weeks to Wellness with Jan Fitzpatrick of InVibeHealth.com, and welcome to our 4-part series on how to have a healthy heart. Jan, this is great, important stuff for your audience. Tell me a little bit about what we're going to cover in today's segment.
Well, menopause is a time of transition and change, and if you have any unresolved issues, they will be magnified, including issues of the heart. Menopause requires a change of heart.
Very good. And as always, we're going to break this down into 3 sort of memorable takeaways. And as we prepped for the show, we talked about we're going to cover women and heart disease. We're going to talk about body changes, and we're going to talk about emotional changes. So let's take those from the top, Jan. Tell me about women and heart disease.
Well, heart disease for men and women starts in the teenage years. And for women over 50, it's the leading cause of death. And heart attacks for women are twice as deadly as for men.
I did not know that. I mean, I definitely knew that heart disease was the leading cause of death for women, but no idea that they were actually deadlier than, so it's not just quantity, it's quality, huh?
Yeah, and the reason it is, usually women have fewer heart attacks or fewer heart disease things, arteriosclerosis, cardiovascular, however you want to look at it, until the menopause. And then at age 65, they catch up with men.
Interesting. And when you say it starts in the teenage years, I mean, what do you mean? How does that work? Because people don't think of it that way, right? You think of it as a middle-age kind of problem or beyond.
Yeah. Oh, well, I believe it was, they determined that from some autopsies they did after World War II on some young soldiers, and found that the process had already started.
Interesting. So way earlier than we think, and you know, so when by the time someone has a heart attack or something like that, that's just sort of the last event in a very long process that's been kind of smoldering along.
Yes.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit more then about some of these body changes that are taking place that maybe give us some clue of what's going on here.
Well, changing hormone levels changes in women, changes the walls of the blood vessels, and it changes the level of fats in the blood. And women's blood vessels are smaller, just from day one. And the plaque accumulation and symptoms are different, leading to underdiagnosis and undertreatment of women for heart disease.
Interesting.
The research and the treatments have been designed for men, not women. And often when they try them on women, they're ineffective and they can be fatal.
And this is a problem that we've been discovering more and more, that a lot of this research has just really been lopsided, right, in terms of having mostly male subjects and then trying to just apply the same data and the same research to women. And it turns out we ain't built the same. I mean, some of us knew that for a long time ago, but apparently the medical researchers seem to be a little slow to figure that out, right? Yeah.
So what happens is the plaque accumulation that they talk about, that we're most familiar with, and some of the commercials you see, a little plaque like pimples on the inside of your blood vessels, but that's for men. They're little groups of plaque. For women, it's entirely, the whole system starts to be, the whole inside of the blood vessels are coated with plaque, rather than having these little bunches of it. So when it does get too small, clogged arteries, when there's not enough space for the blood to go through, and there's what they call a heart attack, it really is a systemic problem. And because it's not just that one spot, it's the whole body for women, it's very, very serious.
That's really interesting. I've never seen that research, so that really is intriguing. And I would imagine, as you're saying this, since the blood vessels are smaller to begin with, that it takes less plaque buildup to start getting you into trouble, right?
Yes, it does.
Wow. Yeah. Well, let's move on to emotional changes then. I mean, what are we talking about in this department here? So what does my emotion have to do with my heart? We talk about heart all the time with feelings.
Yes,
you're telling me there's really a connection here?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Well, hormonal levels change, which we all know, which helps to rewire your brain and change the way you feel about things. And menopause is a time that calls us to wake up our hearts and discover those things that really make us feel fully alive. And we also start to use more heart phrases, if you've noticed, as you get older, like healthy heart. Who talks about a healthy heart until you're after 50? An open-hearted person or closed-hearted person, whether something is heart-centered, or you'll say, my heart's not in it. Or you'll have a heavy heart. Or, now this is kind of across all ages, a broken heart.
Yeah.
And someone who has a soft heart.
Isn't it fascinating, though? I mean, I'm always baffled by this because, I mean, there's definitely something to this, and yet at some very basic core level, I mean, the heart is a pump, right? I mean, it's pumping and it's moving.
Yeah.
These things don't seem like they should be related, and yet obviously there's a deep relationship there, but you know, our language didn't evolve for no reason, I guess. So
Exactly.
Well, Jan, we've got a lot more to cover, but not today and not in this episode here. So I'm gonna do a little wrap up here for us, but I'm gonna remind people that this is part of a 4-part series that's all about, you know, how to have a healthy heart. You know, it's a great theme for Valentine's Day and all that good stuff as well. But you know, these are deep issues of great importance, since it is the leading cause of death for women over 50. So we talked about 3 main areas here. We talked about women and heart disease. We talked about the body changes and some really intriguing stuff that's going to get me heading out there doing some more research because it's fascinating. And then emotional changes that really do have a huge impact on your physiology as well. So, Jan, I'm hoping that people want to get the other parts of this series and they don't want to miss out on any of them. There's a really easy way to make sure that doesn't happen, and that's to head over to your website, which is invibehealth.com. You've got a wonderful offer for people there. Your Amazon.com book is available free on your website. You can't miss it. You go to invibehealth.com. There's a banner with the book on it. You click on it, and it allows you to not only get access immediately to the book without having to pay for it, it gets you on Jan's contact list to get all this great content and reminders when she publishes blog posts, when the rest of this video series comes out, each episode at a time. So join us there, invibehealth.com, get on the contact list, get the ebook, it's great, and don't miss out on parts 2, 3, and 4 of How to Have a Healthy Heart. So till we get to part 2, Jan, I will sign off and say thanks for all of this information. I'm looking forward to the rest.
Thanks. See you soon.